Ambassador Sarah Chen sat alone in the observation deck of the Vraxian Imperial Dreadnought Eternal Dominion, watching Earth burn. Well, not literally burn. The Vraxian Empire was far too sophisticated for that. They didn't glass planets or commit crude genocide. Instead, 300 orbital platforms surrounded humanity's homeworld, each broadcasting a neural suppression field that rendered every human on the surface docile, compliant, and utterly incapable of complex thought. 8 billion people reduced to passive livestock in 47 minutes. It was, objectively speaking, the most efficient conquest in galactic history. Emperor Vaktar himself had come to witness humanity's end. His flagship dominated the view screen, a ship so massive it had its own internal ecosystem, so powerful it could crack a moon with a single sustained blast. The Vraxian Empire spanned 63 systems, commanded 17 subject species, and had never lost a war in their 4,000-year history. Sarah took a sip of her coffee, real coffee, somehow still hot despite the recycled air and the gravity that felt just slightly wrong. She'd asked for it specifically. The Vraxians had been confused but compliant. Why not grant a final request to the last free human? The door irised open with a pneumatic hiss. High Executor Zenmoth entered, his forearms clasped in what his species considered a gesture of magnanimous victory. His chitinous exoskeleton gleamed under the ship's bioluminescent lighting, and his 3 compound eyes focused on Sarah with something approaching pity. "Ambassador Chen," he said through his translator implant. "The Emperor has agreed to see you now. He wishes to gloat, I believe your word is? It is rare that he takes personal interest in a conquest, but humanity proved so amusing." Sarah stood, smoothing her suit, a deliberate choice, the same gray diplomatic uniform she'd worn to 1,000 negotiations across 50 worlds. She'd lost most of those negotiations. Humanity had only been a spacefaring species for 80 years. They were novices in a galaxy of ancient empires. "Amusing," Sarah repeated, tasting the word. "Yes, I suppose we were." The throne room of Emperor Vaktar was designed to intimidate. Every subject species had contributed to its construction: crystalline walls from the Luminar, gravity-defying architecture from the Telvari, neural artwork from the psionic collective that literally made you feel small in its presence. The Emperor himself sat on a throne carved from the compressed core of a dead star, radiating authority that was part political theater and part quantum field manipulation. The human, Vaktar's voice resonated through the chamber, not from his mouth but from the very air itself. "Approach." Sarah walked forward, her footsteps echoing in the vast space. Around the periphery stood representatives of every species under Vraxian rule. All had learned the same lesson: resistance was futile. Compliance was survival. "Your species fought well," Vaktar said, and there might have been genuine respect in his tone. "For primitives. Your ships were crude but numerous. Your soldiers were brave but hopelessly outmatched. Your final defense of Earth was spirited. But now it is over. Humanity joins the Imperium. You will serve, as all serve." "I have a statement," Sarah said. The room went silent. Several of the subject species representatives shifted nervously. One did not simply speak without being addressed by the Emperor. Vaktar, however, gestured with one of his 7 hands. "Please. I am feeling generous. Speak your last words as a free being." Sarah reached into her jacket pocket. 20 weapons systems locked onto her instantly: plasma rifles, neural disruptors, molecular destabilizers. She moved slowly, deliberately, and withdrew a small silver data chip. "This contains humanity's formal response to your conquest," she said. Zenmoth scuttled forward, took the chip with obvious confusion, and inserted it into a nearby console. Every screen in the throne room flickered to life, showing the same image: an old document, yellowed with age, written in archaic English. "What is this?" Vaktar demanded. "The Geneva Conventions," Sarah said calmly. "Established in 1949, Old Earth Calendar. Rules of war. We've updated them over the centuries, of course. Added provisions for space combat, alien species, quantum weapons. But the core remains the same." "Rules of war?" Vakhtar's laugh was like grinding tectonic plates. You primitives think. Article 3, Sarah interrupted another shocking breach of protocol. Treatment of prisoners. Article 33, Prohibition of collective punishment. Article 51, Protection of civilian populations. She paused. You violated 47 separate provisions. The neural suppression field alone constitutes a war crime under 16 separate articles. The Emperor stared at her. You are defeated. Your planet is ours. Your people are livestock. And you wish to lecture me about rules? No, Sarah said softly. I want to remind you of rule number 1. I am not familiar with this rule. I know. Sarah's hand moved to her other pocket. More weapon systems activated. She withdrew a second object, a small, plain glass sphere, no larger than a marble, filled with what looked like silver smoke. Zenmatha's translator crackled. What is that? Humanity's insurance policy, Sarah said. See, we knew we couldn't win a conventional war. We've known that since first contact. The Vraxian Empire is too big, too advanced, too powerful. So we prepared for this exact scenario. She held up the sphere. This contains approximately 6 trillion self-replicating nanobots, each one programmed with a singular purpose. They're currently dormant, suspended in a quantum stasis field. The moment I crush the sphere, which will happen automatically if my heart stops or my neural patterns are disrupted, they activate. The Emperor leaned forward. Weapons? Against this ship? Foolish. Our shields. They're not weapons, Sarah interrupted again. They're accountants. Silence. For the past 80 years, humanity has been meticulously documenting every action of every species we've encountered. Every trade agreement, every cultural exchange, every border dispute. We've embedded quantum encrypted data nodes in 70,000 locations across the galaxy. Each one contains a complete legal record. She smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant smile. These nanobots will disseminate that information to every single intelligent being in the galaxy simultaneously. Every species will learn, in exhaustive detail, exactly what the Vraxian Empire has done. Every forced subjugation. Every suppressed rebellion. Every species reduced to servitude. All presented with full legal analysis under Galactic Council statutes that you yourself agreed to, Emperor. Vakhtar's exoskeleton plates shifted, a sign of discomfort in his species. The Galactic Council is toothless. They have no enforcement mechanism. They don't need one, Sarah said. Because here's the thing about humans, Emperor. We're not the strongest species. We're not the smartest. We're not the most advanced. But we are, without question, the most annoying species in the galaxy when we believe we've been wronged. She began walking slowly around the throne room, and remarkably, no one stopped her. Right now, there are 3 million human lawyers who have been waiting for this exact moment. They've been trained. They're motivated. And they have nothing to lose. The moment this information goes public, they will file approximately 60,000 lawsuits in 400 different legal jurisdictions. They will challenge every trade agreement you have. They will file injunctions against every commercial transaction. They will demand arbitration for every historical grievance of every species you've conquered. We will ignore them, Vakhtar said, but his voice had lost some of its certainty. You can't, Sarah replied. Because 70% of your economy depends on trade routes that pass through neutral territory governed by Galactic Council commercial law. The moment you're in violation, and you will be, because my people will find the violations, those routes close. Your economy collapses. Your subject species see weakness. Your empire fractures. She stopped in front of the throne. But even if you survive that, here's the real problem: humans are persistent. We hold grudges. We will spend generations, centuries if necessary, making your empire's existence a legal nightmare. Every single transaction will require navigating a labyrinth of lawsuits. Every expansion will face injunctions. Every trade will be delayed by motions and counter-motions and appeals and counter-appeals. Sarah's voice grew harder. We will make it so expensive, so time-consuming, so utterly exhausting to maintain your empire that your own people will beg you to negotiate. We will weaponize bureaucracy itself. We will turn paperwork into a siege engine. And we will never, ever stop. She held up the sphere again. So here's my offer, Emperor. The only offer you'll get. You have 48 hours to withdraw every ship from Earth's orbit, deactivate every neural suppression platform, and enter formal negotiations for a peace treaty that includes reparations and war crimes tribunals. If you do this, the nanobots stay dormant. Humanity joins the galactic community as a partner, not a subject. And if we refuse? Sarah's smile was cold. Then I crush the sphere, and you spend the next 1,000 years drowning in litigation. Your choice. The Emperor stared at her for a long moment. Around the room, his advisors shifted nervously. Calculations were being made, probabilities assessed. Finally, Vaktar spoke. You would truly do this? Condemn your own species to generations of legal warfare rather than accept peace as subjects? Your Majesty, Sarah said quietly, you forgot rule number 1 of dealing with humans. We don't have self-preservation instincts. We have spite. And spite is a far more powerful motivator. 47 hours and 32 minutes later, the last Vraxian ship left Earth's orbit. The peace negotiations took 11 years. Humanity got everything they demanded, plus concessions for 15 other subject species who suddenly found their courage when they realized the Empire could be beaten not with weapons, but with the one thing the Vraxians had never encountered before. Malicious compliance. Ambassador Sarah Chen never crushed the sphere. She kept it on her desk throughout the negotiations, clearly visible, a constant reminder. The nanobots inside remained dormant. Probably. No one wanted to test it.